Okay, y'all. So after that humbling experience, because it was just like I was taking what, three medications in one, the STD medication to get it out my system, the yeast infection because I got an allergic reaction from the medication. And then after the yeast infection medicine, I had to take allergy medicine because I got allergic reaction from the yeast infection medication. So your girl was down bad, okay? And I was down for the count. I think at that time I wasn't fucking out. I definitely wasn't fucking dude. And it was like a month that had gone by. Fast forward, I ended up going to take a trip down south to visit some of my family. So as I'm down visiting my family, I'm starting to get phone calls. This was like around May, June-ish, okay? This could be like around June, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact date, but this is like around June. So then I'm getting phone calls where people are calling me and hanging up. People are calling me to ask if someone's at this particular number, and then like kind of like, oh, is this Susan's number? And I'm like, no, this isn't Susan. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And this was happening a lot. Then the one dude that I stopped talking to, the older dude, he was hitting me up. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really pay him that much mind. We were cool. We separated on cool terms, but I'm like, you know, I was there visiting family. Well, then what at this point, my landlord was selling the building. So I had lived in this apartment building for about 10 years. It was going 10, maybe 10. No, that's not true. I think it was closer to 15 years or 14 years that I had lived in this apartment building. Well, he had told me that he was looking to sell the building. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, he was just like, he's looking to sell the building. He's not sure what the new owner is going to be doing with the building, but he wanted to give me a heads up because we had a cool relationship. While I was down there, somebody had called me and purposely asked me, hey, I saw this number on a billboard. I'm interested in buying this building. Talk about some weird shit, okay? Because I'm like, I told the person, I'm like, well, why would you be calling me? Because if anything, it would make more sense to call the landlord. My personal cell number should not be on any type of billboard, okay? So then I said, call my landlord if you're interested in purchasing the building. To which I went ahead and I called my landlord and I asked him, did you give my number out to anybody? He said, no. I said, do you have an ad running on the billboard to, purchase, to buy the property? He told me he had an advertisement, but he said my number is on there. So I don't know where the hell they got your number. I said, me either. But he said I didn't give it out. Okay. So then more weird stuff started happening at that point where I started getting phone calls. People would just pause on the phone, hang up, or ask if somebody particular was there, asking for a person that wasn't there, saying, oh, my apologies or whatever, would hang up. And then the one instance about the landlord, which I thought was weird. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was weird, but not too much to dig into. At this point, I'm back in Philly, okay? So I'm back in Philly, and my landlord hits me up. Actually, no. Before I get back to Philly, a week later, because I spent a good amount of time down south, so a week later, my landlord calls me. And he goes and says, he sends me an image. And he says, do you know anybody with this car? And he sends me a car that is like a gray Jetta, which has a New Jersey license plate. I remember the license plate number because I wrote that bad bitch down. So he asked me, do you know of anybody by this number? And I said, no. Why? What's going on? And he said, well, the African lady who's at the bottom, who owns a hair shop at the bottom, got into it with some woman. And since you're the youngest that lives in this apartment building, I thought that she may have been your friend. And I'm like, well, no, but what happened? He told me that there was a woman who had gotten into a confrontation with the African lady who owns the shop downstairs. How this woman was knocking on the door all crazy. So to get into the apartment, the door, you have a separate entrance than you do the shop. But this is something that she would always complain about, with the doors shutting, because the doors were heavy and it would shake certain things in her shop. And she claims it would affect her business because of her clients that were sitting in the chair whenever the door would shut. So at that point, he goes and he says, this woman was coming to the door. She was screaming, she was yelling, she was cursing, and she was banging the door. Now, I'm thinking, well, what would make a woman come up to a building that she doesn't know nobody in, knocking, yelling, cussing, fussing? What would make her do that? And I said, a nigga, excuse my French, sorry, her man. Let me pause this right here.